Hello there everybody and welcome to WhatCulture Wrestling on this sun-drenched morning following night one of WrestleMania 36. There is a sentence you never thought you would say, and we've got all the news coming up for you today. And before we start, I think it's fair to say we should give WWE credit where it's due because they've really pulled an entertaining evening of pro wrestling out of the fire. It was a close shave, you might say, and a man who was no stranger to a close shave joins me today. Gareth Morgan, how are you?
I wasn't prepared for that, Cleary. That's horrible. Yeah, I'm great. I stayed up and watched WrestleMania last night, and I've actually got a bit of sleep. It's such a weird occurrence being able to watch WrestleMania and not just continue on with your day.
I've got a solid 3 or 4 hours in. Looking forward to a solid 3 or 4 hours tonight, and no doubt a solid 3 or 4 hours later on this evening. I think it's worth it though. It was worth it to stay up for that Boneyard match, which I think is where we should start.
Oh, and we're going to have a lovely video hopefully later on today where I'm going to talk about some exclusive images that we got from that as well, so that'll be cool.
Yes, we obviously have many thoughts and opinions on the Boneyard match, but we're not the only ones because our first story today concerns AEW and 2 of their stars who passed comment on the Boneyard match as well. Now, it won't have escaped anybody's attention there were certain thematic similarities between that match and the final and ultimate deletions. Of course, this cinematic form of pro wrestling pioneered by none other than Matthew Hardy. Now, as you might imagine, his Twitter exploded last night when people realised precisely how the match was being put together. Everyone was like, oh my god, it's like the under deletion, the final under... I should have prepared this before I started the video. It's like the Undertaker's version. Yeah, something like that. And he responded by saying, my Twitter feed exploded. Thanks for all the love, folks. I'm truly honoured. Cinematic matches 100% work with the right characters, scenario and fan base. I envisaged them as a new branch of pro wrestling years ago. Much like TLC did, the hashtag Broken Universe will leave its mark. And if last night's anything to go on, it has already left its mark because WWE would never have even dreamed of doing something like this a couple of years ago. Indeed, they absolutely hated the final deletion when they first saw it, but the fact that it's now not even so much as being accepted, it main evented WrestleMania in a manner of speaking. 2 of the company's biggest stars, 2 of their oldest stars, 2 of their most respected stars put on a match in this vein, and it's being universally praised from all corners of the pro wrestling sphere. Gareth Morgan, your opinion?
I think that's rightly so. It's one of those things as well. As I was watching the card and I saw the Strowman Goldberg match pop up before that, and we'll get into that later, I was thinking to myself, wow, that's not the main event, that's a title match, but what's going to follow that? Seeing that Boneyard match, no match on that card could have followed that, purely because of the drama. Yeah, it was hammy great at times, and it was very much like watching some of the bad bits and some of the great bits from the Attitude Era, but it worked. It just worked so well. I was just popping left, right and centre, just seeing him pop up on his bike with his little bandana on, and they picked it up at the end. It was just like, it was great. It was exactly what this match, this moment, this WrestleMania probably needed, just to hit some nostalgia, just to make you feel good about a weird state of affairs.
There was a very particular feeling that ran through my body at last year's WrestleMania when you realised that not only was John Cena here, but it was Thuganomics era John Cena. And I never thought I would experience that again until I realised it was Biker Undertaker making a long-awaited return. I don't know what else we expected. The build to this match, oh, what's a Boneyard match? Oh, they clearly don't even care anymore. Like, it was so dismissive because it was so confusing, it was also hokey, and I think we kind of just thought, this is going to be a bit of a disaster. The Undertaker probably shouldn't be wrestling. God knows what AJ Styles is going to manage to get out of him. But as I sat there watching that last night, I had to applaud. I genuinely had to applaud. And no doubt many stars from AEW and other pro wrestling companies across the world are going to reach over that brand divide to sort of heap praise on this because it's what it deserves. And Matt Hardy wasn't the only one. I should point out, when the Druids appeared, Evil Uno tweeted, "That's not us." And at the end of the match, he tweeted, "Evil Uno loves cinematic pro wrestling," which I think we can all agree on at this time in the morning.
It's nice. It's nice seeing, yeah, everyone just applauding good wrestling. Like, it doesn't have to always be knives out and, we need to one-up each other.
A round of applause.
A lovely round of, yes, I would knock my mic over, so I won't do that right now. But yeah, it just seems like a lot of good solid work went into the actual filming of the match as well, and a lot of cool behind-the-scenes details. We found out about that obviously afterwards, but I'll get into them on our video later on today. I'm going to leave you teasing on there. So what we're going to talk about now is there was a few title changes on this card. Obviously, if you've not seen this part of WrestleMania yet, probably stop now just for a minute, just go and catch yourself up. like, it may be a giveaway in a thumbnail, we don't know, but yeah, there was a few title changes, a few big ones, and there was a few defences, successful defences. We had Sami Zayn defending his Intercontinental title against Daniel Bryan successfully. Becky Lynch kept hold of a Raw Women's title against Shayna Baszler. You had John Morrison falling off a ladder to go keep the belts. Weird, but it worked. It worked in the context of the match. And then, in terms of title changes, we had Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. They're your new women's tag team champions in what I thought was a pretty awesome match. I really enjoyed it. It was just a lot of screaming, a lot of ass whooping. I loved it. It was great. And then also, I've got to say it's not the biggest title change of the night, but Mojo Rawley became the new 24/7 7-Eleven European awesome, great champion, and Gronkowski just looked very upset about it. And I'm upset when Gronk's upset because he's my new MVP of WrestleMania. I loved him last night. And then the big one, the big man, the get these hands monstrosity himself, Braun Strowman, managed to get away with the Universal title last night. What? That happened. For me, it felt like they obviously had in place the plan of a full-timer, i.e. Roman Reigns taking that belt after WrestleMania, moving onwards and having that belt on SmackDown consistently. So I feel like they've just shifted that just to get it on Strowman, so he's going to be there full-time with the belt. Yeah, well, how do you feel about all these title changes, Cleary? There's so much!
I've got to admit, when I initially pitched during the news this morning, I said, let's talk about both title changes. They seem quite important. And it wasn't until about 15 minutes before we started doing the video, I remembered that there was, in fact, a third one. And your best friend, somehow, Rob Gronkowski, he has made quite an evening for himself off the back of it. I was delighted to see R-Truth on the show because it felt like the kind of show where somebody as creative as that and someone as inventive should have been given more of a platform to do something with. I could genuinely seen them filling in loads of time with R-Truth, but if that was his role on the show, then that was his role on the show, so congratulations to Rob Gronkowski. I'm sure he'll never forget that night, if indeed he's chemically capable of remembering it. But obviously the big talking point is Braun finally not only getting those hands, but getting that championship. I was delighted for him because I think we all thought Braun's time might have passed in the title picture. Maybe that window would close. Maybe they'd waited too long to pull the trigger on him. And I know these are extenuating circumstances. This probably wasn't the plan originally. It certainly wasn't the plan originally. But I am nonetheless delighted for him.
Well, it's funny you should say all that, Cleary, because there was actually a little interview after this match.
You don't say!
I know, it's almost like we planned this. So, yeah, I love these interviews, these like immediate interviews. They're all sweating, like, I've got this belt. And like the Goldberg one was a bit weird at Crown Jewel, but yeah, Super Showdown, sorry, but we won't talk about that one because he lost. So we'll talk about, yeah, Strowman stood there with Sarah Schreiber, I'm probably going to butcher that name like I just have done, sorry about that. But he said in this interview, and it was quite nice, it was quite earnest really, he said, like, honestly, like, hearing that in my head right now that he'd just been crowned the Universal Champion, I don't even believe it's real. This is something that so many people have told me I would never achieve. So many people told me I didn't deserve to because because of what I've been through in my life and things like that. But this is proof right there that no matter what, if you work your butt off for something you believe in and dream, and then he was blubbering a little bit at this point, you can achieve anything. Right here is proof you can achieve anything if you put your mind to it. All right. So that was a bit of a reveal there in the sense that we've always had these rumours of people not necessarily holding Braun back, but him not being uber popular with some of the people in the back and people questioning his attitude. And like, many times we thought, yeah, this is it, trigger's going to be pulled, he's going to be the champion, and then he's not. He's been squashed, or he's just had his push decelerated completely. So this felt, even if it's only temporarily, if it's a Big Show-esque title reign where it's just give it to him and then he's going to lose it straight away, it's still nice for him to go, yeah, I reached the top of the mountain, I've done it. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
The thing that jumped out at me when I saw that interview was, did you see the Goldberg version of this after he beat The Fiend in Saudi Arabia? And the guy just came up on him and was like, Goldberg, you've won the Universal title, how do you feel? And he goes, oh, it's you just gotta hit these people, just gotta do your job. Thank you, brother. It's good. I was like,
coincidentally, that's exactly what I look like after watching this match. It's just, it was great.
I'm delighted for him. The guy has had so much, not untapped potential, but he went from being a bit of a joke in WWE, being someone who was comically laughed at as just being there because Vince sees the size of him and likes to use guys like that, to turning everybody's opinion around on him in the space of 12 months, being a genuine main eventer, to being somebody who was kind of underutilised as just another big guy. He had his time in the title picture. That kind of felt like it passed him by. And if anybody has done well off the back of these extenuating circumstances, I guess it's him, and you can't say it's undeserved either.
Yeah, completely agree. Completely agree.
But obviously these extenuating circumstances, they do exist, and they were of course the reason why there was nobody in attendance last night aside from Rob Gronkowski, Mojo Rawley and their dealer. But there has been some update on when we might potentially be getting crowds back into not just WWE arenas but sporting arenas across America. There was last night a big meeting, a Skype call, you presume, of commissioners from the NBA, the NFL, all the major sporting leagues, in which they spoke to the president about what the timeframes are for these things. Now, the major takeaway from this has been that Trump is recommending that the NFL, that starts again around September time. Now, obviously, that does kind of play into roughly what the schedule would have been for that anyway, but the suggestion is that fans should be back in all arenas in America sometime between August and September. Now, this would probably come a little bit too late for SummerSlam this year, which is what we were hoping would be the first major big WWE show after all of this, but that looks like being the time frame the US government are currently operating to. Now, we should say that is, take that with a pinch of salt, because initially they were predicting everyone would be back for the Easter weekend, and that's not going to happen. So obviously, as this crisis goes on, we'll continue to monitor it. They're going to have to make these decisions much nearer the time, and I think looking 3-4 months ahead and going, yep, then that's when it'll all be fixed, is probably not short-sighted, not naive, but I think maybe I wouldn't get too comfortable with that idea, put it that way. But it is good that they're thinking about this, it is good that they're looking forward to this, and it is good that there does at least appear to be a light at the end of the tunnel in regards to these empty arena shows. Yeah,
exactly, and it's one of those things, me and Phil touched upon it yesterday in the news, that Triple H was saying, don't just expect things to go back to, quote, normal. It's just not the way things have turned out now, and the way things are going to be after this. There's going to be a new normal. It might be that there might be a slow filter of fans into arenas. Like there might just be shows of say 50 to 100 people like earlier. Do you know what I mean? They're going to have to try new things in order to build this atmosphere within the confines of these guidelines, this new environment. So I think as fans we need to be patient. We all understand exactly what's going on. Should be singing from the same song sheet. But yeah, all we can do is just wait and see what happens day to day, week to week at this point, isn't it?
I think the question that gets begged then is, will WWE even continue after this? Because we know AEW's taped a lot of weeks worth of programming. Obviously, there's this new stay-at-home order in Florida that's going to make it increasingly difficult to put these shows on. The Raw after WrestleMania is taped. Obviously, we will still be getting WrestleMania again tonight. We don't know precisely how much further than that they have actually pre-recorded this stuff, but given that viewers are turning away from these empty arena shows in their droves once this initial bump of interest following WrestleMania dissipates, should WWE even continue putting them on at all? I'm not sure they should.
No, to be honest, in terms of taking a hit for a while, speaking from an MMA point of view, we've, as a community, we've just had to settle for watching reruns and watching old events and everything else, and it's something wrestling fans have slowly been getting used to, and on the actual weekly shows as well, we've been seeing the little matches thrown in every now and again. It's not, honestly, in the grand scheme of things, having a few weeks, maybe even a few months just of reruns of old events, past events, if anything, it'll just make us appreciate even more what we had. Yeah, we're not going to have weekly narratives, but just imagine that first show, that first Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-view, even if, let's say, theoretically, they could get it to that August, September date, and SummerSlam would have passed, just push it back 2 weeks. I'm sorry, it's not like WrestleMania where you'd have to push it back half a year. Just push it back 2 weeks and have it then. Have that as the big show, and the pop. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about the size of that pop. It'd be amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Autumn Slam. That would honestly still do it for me. I'd be delighted. Yep. We've talked a lot about how WWE really, is impacted by the fact it doesn't have an off-season and it can't get a proper hard reset on its storylines, and everything goes on week to week and week and all just blurs into one. This is an opportunity I think they should take, man. I think they should just put reruns in the slots, use them to advertise the network, maybe even, I don't know, slash the price of the network while all this is going on. Hey, if you miss wrestling, we've literally got every wrestling show that's ever happened on an on-demand service. It's half price while all this is going on. I just think it seems like a no-brainer to me, but this is WWE, so we'll have to wait and see what they do.
But in terms of looking towards the future, we had our first official promo for WrestleMania 37. I know, how quick does time fly, eh? Did you hear WrestleMania's going Hollywood, mate? So
I heard it's going Hollywood, yeah. It's going Hollywood.
So it's really going Hollywood if you watch this promo. You had the man muscle car driving off straight away with like fire tracks coming out the back of it. You had a big venue that said Charlotte Flair for one night only, like woo, great. You had a Braun Strowman Hollywood star on the Walk of Fame just smashed in. It looked like he just banged his head into it. You had a Welcome to Claymore Country, I believe it was, like a sign. You had a Let Me In Hills instead of Beverly Hills, because I don't know, I'm really scratching my head at that, and I've got a lot of head
Let Me In
now.
Hills sounds like a terrible chat-up line as well.
Oh god. That's just dreadful. And then yeah, it ended with WrestleMania Hollywood confirming it was going to be on the 28th of March 2021, which at least we got that to look forward to in front of an arena full of people, hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I like the way with this promo that they really set it out like, oh, we're going to basically do loads of like wrestlers in films. That's what the whole promo is going to be. Here's Becky Lynch in Back to the Future, and then that was the only one they did. It was just, here's Santa Monica Pier and that cinema that's slightly famous. It wasn't, I think they could have done more with this, but I still enjoyed it. And it's obviously, I think they want to put WrestleMania 36 behind them as quickly as possible. I think they're going to want to spend the rest of the year having people associate WrestleMania with the next WrestleMania as opposed to the most recent WrestleMania, which is going to be a shame if it continues to deliver matches the quality of the Boneyard match last night. I thought the ladder match was really good, the women's tag team match was really good, Elias versus King Corbin happened as well, and either way, I think we're both kind of excited for tonight still.
Yeah, and did you not feel like, I think my big takeaway from the night, I thought a lot of these, some matches were a slog. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you Elias and Baron Corbin was my favourite match, because I don't like lying on TV, it's just not fun. But a lot of the matches surprised me in terms of pace and energy and the speed of everything. It felt like it went along quite well, this show, and at the end of it, I didn't sit there going, oh my god, I took a piece of my soul, literally, from the Boneyard match. It didn't feel like that. How did you feel about the actual pacing of the show? I thought it was quite good.
I am delighted that WrestleMania comes in 2 bite-sized chunks of 3.5 hours. That I honestly could not tell you how thankful I was that when that finished, I got to just go to bed at a fairly sane time. And all that aside, because I know the majority of people will be watching it in America, and that's not their problem, not having to sit through a transatlantic flight's worth of wrestling is just, you cannot understate what a gift that is to wrestling fans. And I think, honestly, if they don't consider just breaking it into 2 nights going forward, they are not listening to people. Yeah. That's my other big takeaway was black pepper chicken, some salt and pepper chili chips, and some fried rice. But other than that, my big takeaway is that WrestleMania should be over 2 nights. But that concludes our news for today, Gareth. Unless you've got any personal news you want to give people.
I'm bald.
I'm bald there. If you haven't seen the video yet, we sprung in an April Fool's video on The Office where we posed as a wrestling quiz. But no, it was a Brutus the Barber Beef Cave quiz written by yours truly. That was a weird afternoon and the loser had to shave their head. And Gareth, do you want to give it a little rub for everybody?
Come on, work at WhatCulture. It's a family-friendly environment and you don't get bullied into quizzes.
That's what happens when you can't successfully answer 3 questions about a wrestler from the 80s. Anyway, let's know what you made of all these stories in the comments below. Please do enjoy WrestleMania tonight if you are watching it. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe to WhatCulture as well, because we've got loads of content beaming to you directly from our isolation inspiration stations across the UK. In the meantime, though, thank you so much for watching. Why not follow us on Twitter? Gareth, where can they get you?
They can find me on gmorgan04, where you'll find all your lovely content tonight.
Content, I like that. And you get me, Adam Cleary, CLERY, the entire WhatCulture wrestling family, available to you at WhatCulture WWE. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Please do stay safe wherever you are in the world. We will see you tonight, I guess, probably, this afternoon, whenever. Goodbye.